Well, because if you do 4 listings a week.
All right, everybody. Scott Pierce here with Yi Gong from Listings to Leads. And tonight we're going to talk about struggling with Facebook ads and follow up. Actually, going to be a little bit different than normal. So, Yi, how you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. Let's
And
get
you,
started.
and you got, pardon me?
I said I'm excited, so let's get started.
Right. We're actually, so what we're going to do today is I put this link into the chat. So go ahead and take a look at that a little bit later. And I'll come back to this later and review it with everybody. But I got Gordon's here. But we are going to review Yi's ads, and we're going to talk through the good, the bad, the ugly. I think you might be surprised by some of it, maybe not by other things. So, Yi, this is your account. I'm going to click on ads. And so I'm going to grade you. We're going to talk about your results. Everybody want to, if you're watching us, go ahead and comment where you're coming in from. Let us know who you are. So thanks for joining us. And, I was talking to a client earlier this afternoon. And when I showed her that quote from Gordon, she was the exact same way, right? I've been in real estate for decades. In 2024, I decided I'm going to give up in 6 months. She literally was like, yes, that is exactly how I feel right now. And I was like, listen, this is all you have to do. It's easy. And then we actually went through what I'm going to do right now. Right. So I wanted to show her, like, listen, sometimes it's kind of hard to visualize, what someone's saying to you, right? Or, talking through. But I was like, you know what? So I got into your account, I got into Gordon's account. And I think it really helped her. And I was sharing some of your stories. And I said, hey, listen, join us on Thursday. And, as a lender, we'll be talking about this kind of stuff. So what I thought I would do is, and everybody, again, go ahead and comment in where you're coming in from, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook or StreamYard. So type into the chat where you're coming in from again. And, I would say, how are you doing with ads? So check this out. Let's go back to the beginning. So your first ad ended on June 1st. So if I went to the calendar, so May, I know I brought these up. So June 1st was a Sunday.
So it's been 17 days. All right.
So the last full day of the month, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And what do you say? So today's the 17th.
Right.
Well, so that means you started
building
3.5 weeks ago.
Okay.
Right. So 3.5 weeks ago. Yeah. All right. So that was the first ad you did. Then if you have not seen the Gordon Day video interview or the Craig Johnson, you got to see both of those interviews because they talk about how all we did was just listed, active and open house. And Craig has already closed 2 deals. He's got 4 more in the pipeline. That was of about a week ago. So he may have closed something since then or got more in the pipeline. I don't know. But Gordon is just knee deep in business, right? His quote in that interview, he's like, man, he goes, these agents are telling me they're dead. And he's like, I'm not dead. He goes, I got more business than ever. The leads that he's generating, the follow-up that he's having. But so with Yi here, so yeah, my point in saying that was, so then we started going off and doing this VA purchase ad.
Yeah.
Look at that, $30 a lead. Here, we're at $3.70 a lead. And here's the thing. So let's just go through this and then we'll get into your follow-up. So we did another one that ended on the 5th. All right. $46 VA. Now, I know you talked to one of them, so you may be getting a deal from one of these leads, right?
She's kind of a little bit. We have to wait. Yeah, it's not coming anytime soon. But I had good conversations,
Yeah, so I'm just like, $46 a lead. I would not want to hang my business on that regardless.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. We want to get more, people coming into the pipeline. So then we did a pre-qualified, again, $30 a lead. If you're a company and you want to go for these like really targeted niches, because you got more of a budget to do it. But I think, then we get right back to the listings.
Yeah,
Right. This
totally.
one wasn't so good, $6.18. But then we got into so $50 ad budget,
Mhm.
281. So that's on June 18th. So we essentially went from June 1st. We didn't, so that would have been June 1st. If it ended on the 18th, so you went like a week and a half without doing any ads.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
You did this one here, but well, yeah, we did one ad for $50 here. All
Mhm.
right, 618. I don't know why we didn't cut that off. So I'll discuss this a little bit later in the call today, but when you're running an ad and it's over what you think it should be for cost per lead, and I would say, in this case, it's an open
Cut it.
house,
Mhm.
that should be like $5 or less, like 470, 370, even 330, right? In the low threes. If you're in the high twos, phenomenal. But I want to be, five and a quarter or less. And so that went all the way through at 618. I'll show you a little bit. You can just literally, like, if that was turned on. So imagine if your ad is running and you're just coming in at a high cost per lead, just turn it off. All right. I will get through a little bit later on some of the things to check on an ad to make sure that when you relaunch it, because sometimes it's just as easy is just unplug and plug. And the second time through, I'll show you some examples of where we did that. We just unplugged the ad, turned it off, turned it right back on as a new ad, right? So go back to the work
Right.
area, do a new ad, and you're back at $3 a lead, which is
Yeah, you can cut that in half. It's just Facebook algorithm, sometimes just stuck in that little loop.
well, and
You
you
gotta
just got to pay
reset it.
attention to know what to do. Like you got to know like first level support, right? Like you can't call our support team and say, hey, my ads, whatever, it's Facebook. But the easiest thing you can do typically is just turn it off and rerun it. So super
Mhm.
easy. So then we went 11 days really underspending. We had a high cost ad that should have been turned off. So we're still not very serious about what's going on. And then finally last week you've got two ads up. So 50 and 65,
Mhm.
115. So you're right about that. So when you click on that link, if you haven't watched those interviews with Craig Johnson and Gordon Day, right, we talk about trying to get to 125 to 150 bucks a week on listings, right? Just listed, coming soon, open house, active, because those are going to bring in the most people. Typically, between the three of these people we're talking about, they're ranging between 75 to 90% good phone numbers. So if you're not getting good phone numbers, usually the people that get the worst phone numbers are the ones that go for a really elderly client base. Like they're going after senior citizens
Mm.
who a lot of times use our landlines from 10 years ago on Facebook. And so when they do the lead form, right, these landlines keep coming up.
So what do you mean by they were targeting senior citizens? Because they have a target audience or I mean,
Yeah,
how
maybe. Yeah. Right. Like they're a senior citizen expert or something like that, or they're
oh,
going to the
gotcha.
55 assisted living kind of stuff as well.
Mm.
Robin, Robin. Okay. So this is so great comment. All right. In question. So I'm running Facebook ads for new construction with strong incentives for both clients and agents. However, the lead costs are high, 8 to 11, likely due to saturation. I'm on the list to host an open house, but there's heavy company. Got it. Okay, I've turned it off. But what's the smart strategy to stand out? Robin, do you have it like as a listing in your account? So it's like a specific unit. The one thing I've seen with new construction, and I have a client in Houston. His wife is a new construction specialist.
Specialist. Mhm.
The photographs that new construction developments have are so awful that I told her, I said, go get your own photos. Just please go find photos from somebody else besides the developer or the builder. And when we got better photos, the ads were doing better. Because so many of those builders, they have like overly saturated ad images. It's like they take the photo and they run it through some machine and they kind of, they lose a lot of the detail. So,
Mhm.
anyways,
So are
But
you suggesting she should have a specific unit related to that community?
yes,
Okay.
that's where I would start. So yeah. So Robin, then it could just be as easy as some of the things that I'll walk through. All right. So it could literally be as easy as that. So just kind of as we continue here, let me just keep evaluating and expanding Ye's leads and everything. So really, it's only been so to get back to where we started. We did one ad the last week of May, and I'm just doing the ones that count as I would call successful. Really nothing, right? That one ad a week, 2 weeks ago, and then the current ads that you've got.
Mhm.
So, and we've spent, you're spending 217 a lead, 281 a lead. This one at 618. I mean, that's not god awful, but it's
But it's not
again, I
great.
would have if I was
Yeah.
paying attention, I would have turned it off and then, turned it back on. And Gordon's account, you're gonna see where he had two bad performing ads at the exact same time. And I turned them both off, just turned them right back on, and they went right down to the low to mid threes. But so for Yi, so you're generating the leads. Why don't you explain kind of your process for well, yeah, give us a sense of like where are you at with a pipeline? Do you think you're building a pipeline that's coming together in this little bit of time?
Okay, so every day I set out a time to call these leads from 6 to 7, actually from 7 to 8 p.m. Okay. I have had good conversations with a few leads, and there are also people who just don't like, if they don't answer, I leave a message. So here's the thing, I'm trying to understand what is a good script to leave a voicemail. So I'm trying different script because I get information from different agents. They do it differently, and I'm trying to adapt to what is best for me and
Well,
try to test it out.
you know, it's so, it's kind of a funny conversation we had this morning because somebody, uh, Brian, who's on our call last night, said, you know, how did he goes, when I leave a voicemail, how does he do it? Do you remember
Yeah,
how
he
he
said,
said
"Oh,
that?
hi, this is Brian from blah, blah, blah Realty. Sorry, I missed your call. Give me a call back at da da da." That's what he
Right.
said.
Okay. And so you was like, well, man, maybe I'll try that. And that's what I'll do when I just leave a voicemail. And I was like, and I love people's opinion on this, which is, I was like, for a man to say that is one thing. But I was like, just for a woman, I think for a woman to be a little bit more like what we talked about before, which is just kind of respond to what they said, because men are kind of gruff, and it almost comes across as a little bit, I don't know, or maybe I'm just overanalyzing that. Because then some people say don't leave a voicemail at all. Some people will say, uh, you know, give a little almost like introduction or welcome voicemail, like what Craig does, because
Yeah.
Craig does
So
something very different.
yeah, but there are people also saying if you say, "Hey, this is Yi from blah 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 lending," as soon as you said that, nobody's gonna call you back, which I see that part as well, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
If
So
you're
I'm
not, if
thinking,
yeah,
yeah, yesterday I called, I didn't leave a voicemail.
okay,
So I'm gonna call them back today and just try to reach them.
yeah. But you've had you've had. I
I
hear
have
you
good
talking to.
conversations. Yeah,
Oh my
I
God,
have.
yeah. I mean, every
Um,
day you had that conversation. Oh, so this is hilarious. So one of the leads had a wrong cell phone number. So Yi was texting this lead, and you got a call. Like, did he call you or he texted you?
he called me. He said, "This is not Suzanne." He was so mad on the phone. And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry to bother you." And then he ended up having a nice conversation with me. He's like, "This is the best call ever." We just chit chat for a little bit. Nothing came out of it, but it wasn't horrible. Like, people were mad, but you can turn this around into a positive conversation.
And
That's
that
what's
almost
good.
that tracks a little bit with what Gordon Day said in his in the interview we did with him, where that woman is screaming at him, and just the tone of his voice when he said, hey, listen, I can tell you're having a bad day. I'm just here to help. You're looking at a property, you know, and if now's a bad time, and she just completely, calmed down. They had a great
Yeah.
conversation,
Yeah.
and now she's a buyer lead, kind of the 6 to 12 month time frame. But,
Mhm.
he didn't freak out just because somebody got testy with him, right?
Right.
People get, we all get pissy sometimes, at the worst possible moment. Sometimes it's just whenever, but there's times when we're not always at the top of our game as well when we respond to people. And you got to figure if you're calling them or whatever, or here you was texting or calling, whatever it was, and this guy literally, I can imagine him sitting there like yelling at the text you sent him. What you know what I mean? This is so
Yeah.
funny that he would
Oh, yeah,
literally
oh, yeah.
call you.
He's like, "If you find that Suzanne." That was so funny. Yeah, it's all
Oh,
good. I think you gotta have this mentality. It took me a while, I have to admit, is whoever the leads, I don't know, you get leads coming, you have to call them right away. You just have to do like that day, you have to do it. And that you pick a day like Gordon does it from 9 to 10:30 in the morning, then he takes a 30-minute break and he does for another hour. Right. I do it from 7 to 8 p.m. because I found that most people are at home during that time. So
mm.
East, you obviously have to adjust it. Um,
Well, it's East Coast for them as well. I mean, the same time.
I don't know, what time that works for East Coast.
Well,
But
but your
7 to
leads all
8,
in California, so it's fine.
yeah, 7 to 8, I found that most people home, they get their stuff done, they have their dinner, so they actually have some time. I found 7 to 8 to be like the best time, at least for me.
Yeah, I
And
think it's
then write very good detailed notes. So I'm using the Sync Leads follow-up. So every call I make for that particular lead, I write it down on the notes. Like, what did I do today? I left a message. What message did I leave? And what response did I get? Because you have to go back the next day so you know exactly what to do for that particular lead. And people who write on the lead form, like, their time frame to buy, like, I found it very interesting. If somebody says 1 to 3 months, that's usually pretty accurate. Dreaming, I don't know, right? People who say dreaming, they could be anywhere. So that conversation would be like really try to find out the details, like, what's preventing you from, like,
well.
just
So when you do call a lead, how are you getting them on the phone? Like, what is it that you're saying or whatever? Say again, I hear you having conversations. Like, do you call them the answer? Or are they calling you back? Or explain?
Well, for the 1 to 3 months, my script is I do mention that, like, "Oh, I see your time frame is 1 to 3. Oh, congratulations. I have some really awesome bio resources you should really look into, and let me know, if you have any questions." That's kinda my voicemail.
Right, and then people call or text back.
No, they don't, but they also don't refuse me either. So, I see the email
Yeah,
that they actually open my email.
right.
So
But
I
I'm
just
saying
kinda pick
when
it
I
up.
hear you talk when you're talking to people, did they just pick up the phone when you called them?
Oh, no, most of the time they don't. But as long as they're not rejecting you right away, you just kinda keep
Yeah.
trying.
Right.
So I
Okay.
haven't, got person on the phone for the 1 to 3 months, but
Oh, no,
there's
no, I
one.
just mean in general. Just
Oh, when I talk to them on the phone,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
"Oh," I said, "I saw you looking at that property. I just wanna find out more, what's going on in your life, like, does that
Okay.
property do you find it interesting? Like, do you have any questions?" Like, just kinda have general conversation and let
Right.
them talk most of the time. So this one guy, um, I found out his name in his email is something Fiji, right? So I related, I said, "Oh, I know this guy from Fiji is a big golfer." He's a VJ saying that, that conversation just immediately shifted to something very friendly.
When that goes along with what Gordon said, right? Don't try to
Yeah.
pre-qualify the lead. Just find out what's motivating them. Find out what they're looking for. Right. Just try to be there to help. Keep your voice calm and easy.
Yeah, it's
So
almost like have a casual conversation first before you go into. Then you talk. Oh, have you talked to a lender? Like, what's your situation? Then you can go more into the conversation.
yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
but
So
I'm
my
still
point,
learning.
yeah. So my point in all of this review was we started out strong, right? $100. That's actually a good budget for that week.
Mm-hmm.
And then we kind of died off for about 2 weeks. Yeah, from, oh yeah, well, yeah, 2.5 weeks, June 1st to June 18th. So yeah, that's 2.5 weeks. So after 2.5 weeks, we got one series of good ads running. Now I've also got these are the top three over here. That's the Your Journey to Homeownership. So that's a custom landing page I built, and I was just kind of testing it out for her. Look at that, $20. That's no good. So I'm
Yeah.
rerunning with different images and different text. So yeah, these are just kind of random custom things I like to play around with. But here's the deal. As an agent, I don't want you trying to find the holy grail of lead generation. I want you to do what works for most people across most markets, which is to market just listed, active, open house, or coming soon, right? So
Yeah.
typically
Yeah.
you're looking at just listed, active, or open house. Find 2 to 3 to market a week and spend between 125 and 150 bucks a week in your ad budget. If you do that, and you've done it haphazardly, and we're going to keep it going much smoother. But I mean, even after barely 3 ads, your pipeline is already creating conversations on a daily basis.
Yes. I know
Yeah.
one, like this lady, she's looking to buy for her grandson. And I already sent her loan options to her. And she's like anxious, and I'm pretty sure they're gonna move like within 2, 3 months. So I know the time frame, the 6 to 8 weeks. So I'm gonna give myself 6 to 8 weeks. Just keep doing what I'm doing and not give up. Because I've seen results from other agents, other lenders. So here's the thing. It's easy for you to not to call a day and find an excuse. Okay. I have found many excuses. Like, I'm tired. I had a long day. Ah, man, I'm hungry. But you know what? 7 o'clock every night, I get into my office, I lock the door, and I make those calls. So I'm proud of myself. Like, have not missed a day. And I'm thinking, all right, from 6 to 8 weeks, I know it's gonna work, and you just gotta put the work into it, and you're gonna see the results because I know people have seen the results, right? So you follow this playbook and you just do it.
Well, yeah,
There's
and
no other excuse.
what I really want to stress is, and with the conversation I had with the client this afternoon, she's running ads for different custom offers and things, and leads are coming in at $10 to $15 each. And I'm like, but listen, this is just unsustainable, right? Like
Right. No.
you don't want to keep having to get triples and home runs all the time with these $10 to $15 leads, that have probably the exact same, uh, time to close as
As
just
these
listed
$2,
open
$3
house
leads.
active
Yep.
listings.
Yep.
And a third of these people have a home to sell. So, right, I mean, you're finding a lot of these people, right? Some are, like that one woman who wants to buy for her grandkid, which is so cute.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, there's another lady. She is looking for property for her grandkids who also have a home. So
oh,
they
wow.
want to move up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, all these conversations lead to good,
Yeah.
I think, future business.
All right.
So,
So this is Gordon. So, Gordon obviously is the one that we interviewed who I worked with for a couple of months. And so this is from last week. And there's a reason why I bring this up because, again, all he is doing, just listed, active, and open house. He doesn't do coming soon. So it's just those three statuses. And you can see here, I have 2 pending listing closing from the Facebook open house ads. The buyers for both open houses were generated by the ads. Yeah, sorry. One of the 2 buyers didn't have a agent, so needed to sell their home. That generated another listing. Result is double ended. All right, 690 in the other listing. A lot of buyers. So he's talking to people on a daily basis. If you watch the interview right below this, man, he gets into how he does his follow up, the conversations he's having, and the seller leads. What is this here? So her house is down the street from my listing. Oh, and the open house ads, including, just dreaming. Her tag was just dreaming. He said. So he and the comment above here where he's talking about wanting to essentially reevaluate his options at the beginning of 2025. And the client, I swear, this afternoon, she was the exact same thing. It's just like, I'm just so tired of it. I could hear her voice. So I was walking through all of this with her and I said, listen, all I want you to do is watch these 2 videos at this link here and then join us on Thursday and be excited. Because we're not sitting here trying to hit home runs, right? I
Right.
don't need to hit a grand slam to make my next payday. I want to be able to hit singles and maybe a few doubles here and there. And that is the whole goal of this. So this is Gordon's ad account. And let me refresh. I just got, I think, 3
Yeah,
new ads, 2 or 3 new ads live today. So let's
I
go
tell you,
back. Yeah.
I was doing research
Mhm.
on YouTube for property videos, and I'm amazed how many realtors don't do property videos at all. Like, I was like shocked, because the
Yeah.
videos I see is like from 3 years ago, 2 years ago, like
Yeah.
7 years ago. I'm like, where are the property videos? I think the realtors
Well, yeah.
just
Well,
maybe got lazy. I don't know.
where's your property video?
Well, I didn't go to the actual property, but today I tried a different format because sometimes you don't have time.
Right. Okay. I can't wait to see it. We'll post it a little bit later. All right. So in Gordon's account, right? So we really started getting serious together like around the end of March. And so here, right, there's an ad in end of January and then end of February, another one in February that $30 a lead, $11 a lead. I don't know what we were doing there. And then we did another one. Then we did a sold listing. Then this one right here. Oh my God. Yeah. Sold listing, new construction. So even with Gordon, right, it's kind of like this right here was kind of when we started getting serious with the budget, the type of ad, and we kind of really started focusing for the most part. You'll see, not always, but for the most part. So we got, and if you see one of the previous comments where he
Mhm.
where he talks about the number of leads and they ended up cost per lead was like 350,
That's really good.
right? So
Yeah.
18 leads, 16 leads on this ad. 5. Oh, that's under contract. All right. So that doesn't really count. All right. Let's go. Because I'm only counting ads that are just listed, active, or open house, because that is where you're going to see, right? 11 leads. Oh, that was list of price reduced homes, but that's $15 a lead.
Yeah.
Again, not the
You can
worst in the
see the
world.
the pattern is anytime you do custom landing pages, that's not just sold. Open house, just listed. The price go up drastically.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
So,
So here we go. So 337, 390,
those are the
378 open
prices.
house,
Sure.
384. 498, a little bit high. Actually
Mhm.
price reduced. I don't know. No, that's not true. Because actually, I've seen some price reduced lately where they're at like $1.87 a lead. But I've
Oh,
also
wow.
noticed others where they're a little bit more expensive than, like, look at this, right? 384, 378, 333. But then this one right here is 498, like totally out of whack. And then 236, yeah, 264. Right. So just notice, but 17 leads, 15 leads, 17 leads, 19 leads. You want to be getting, the problem that most agents have is you're generating 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 leads a week because you're trying to go after these niche markets, and those leads are not closing any faster than a regular listing lead on a just listed active or open house. And then oh my God, the number of conversations Gordon, again, just listen to his interview. If you've already listened to it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Where, like he said, he calls from 9 to 10:30, from 11 to 12. He only calls once for 7 days. And then after that, he doesn't call him anymore because he has enough leads coming in, enough conversations happening to where he doesn't need to try to do 3 calls a day per lead and 3 texts per day and 3 emails per day. Now that you're doing this, can you comment a little bit on what your life would look like if you try to do that 333?
No, no,
I
I
mean,
can't.
you would get nothing done.
Well, yeah, just with the leads come in every day, I feel like there's a lot of follow-up to do. So I'm good with two listings running right now.
Well, and that's what Gordon said. Gordon's like, listen, I don't want to increase my budget. I don't, we just want
Yeah.
to keep it. And that's the goal that you want to get to at some point, right? Where you're just like, listen, he canceled all those other programs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Thousands of dollars a month. And he took like 20% of that, threw it into the ads with listings to leads. And it's almost like when you pare down a tree and you just have the core tree left and it can finally grow, because now he's not paying attention to them. He's not trying to, integrate them. He's just running the ads. The leads go to a CRM, and then he's calling out of the CRM. And he's having more, and a lot of these leads, like you would typically think, well, these are buyer leads. And yes, they are buyer leads. But here's the two things. One, a lot of them have a home to sell. And two, and this is totally required as part of this strategy, which is you got to do open houses, right? You got to do open
Absolutely.
houses. There's no reason you can't do a 2-hour open house at least once a week. He's actually doing 2, sometimes more a week. And he's doing that because he wants to get his pipeline filled up faster. So as you see in his comments there, he's generating leads from the Facebook ads, and then he's at the open house where he actually gets to meet them. And because he's using the listings to leads open house playbook, right, the blueprint for doing an open house, he's able, and he's an amazing broker. He's able to convert more of those people into buyers and sellers from the open house.
Yeah. So last night, I spent an hour and a half. I text, I don't know, maybe 30 leads about the upcoming open house that we're having tomorrow.
Oh, right.
And I
Yeah.
personally invited all of them to come to the open house. None of them rejected me. So I'm like, okay, that's a good sign. Whether they'll show up, I don't know. And some of but
Did
would that be
anybody,
cool? Maybe even 1 or 2 shows up. I'm like, I got them,
did
right?
anybody ever get back to you or
So
respond?
one girl did ask me, "Hey, where's the property?" I said it's in, Sutter. So I
Mhm.
know they're gonna come up.
Oh, wow.
I think they will. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, you know what? I mean, so is that something in Follow Up Boss that you can automate? Because I know we're going to
Um,
be, I know Listings to Leads is going to offer that at some point where you could batch text leads by filter.
yeah, that I don't know.
Yeah.
I have to look into it. But
Yeah.
just go back to the open house strategy because all this come together, right? You got to run ads, you got to follow up with the leads, you got to do open house every week. Brian Matheson said yesterday during the training, if you
Mm.
do 4 open houses a month, there's no reason you wouldn't close. How many transactions he said?
He said 30 to 36. If you use the
Exactly.
checklist, right? The marketing, uh, yeah, I mean, 30 to 36 easily.
Yeah. So people, I'm just telling you, agents out there, if you're struggling,
That's
then
like 3 a month. Yeah.
stop what you're doing. Just
Easily.
start refocusing. Like we're already giving you the playbook. Just follow along and do it as all the successful agents are doing, right? Like run the
Yeah.
ads, follow the leads, have conversations, do open houses.
Yeah. And so, let me show you. So, what's today? The 17th? So, I'm going to show everybody one thing that you can do. So, if you got an ad that's
Yeah.
doing really well,
Mm-hmm.
let's see, this one just started. That one just started. 382. Kind of keep my eye on that one at 382. Maybe another one will come in at like 412, and I'm at 206 for my cost per lead.
You want to show people how to run the ads.
Well, what I want to do first is I want to
Yeah.
show you how to extend an ad that's performing really well, because
Okay.
this is a great thing. When you have an ad that's performing great, you don't have to let it just run out.
Yeah.
So now this is a little early, right? I've only spent $5 out of 50, but I'll show you if I click edit. So when I'm in the ad area, there's a little edit icon there. This is more appropriate for like the day before the ad's going to end, maybe 2 days before. If I come down here to budget, I can open that up, and then I can edit the budget and the ending date. So I can say, hey, man, this ad is performing great. Let's extend that Or in this case, it's an open house, then I don't want to extend it because it's already going to end after the open house. But I might just say, hey, you know what? Throw in, another. No, it was 50. I put in 55. That means it's going to spend 55 total dollars.
Yeah,
50
not the
plus the
extra.
new five.
Yeah.
So, yeah, $5 on that. They were $1.84 per lead. That is pretty
Oh,
good.
that's amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very good. All right. So now, if I have this ad, this price reduced one, and it's not performing well, all you got to
Mm-hmm.
do is just turn it off. Just turn it off, and whatever, if it was a listing or it could have been something else. A lot of the times you can just go back and rerun it. And I'm going to walk through how to do an ad and some of the things to watch out for that are kind of the common mistakes that like literally kill people. And they will say, well, I did an ad. Why is it not performing? And usually I will come in, and it's always one of three things. If you can literally watch what you're doing when I get to those three items, you're going to do fine most of the time. And so when I have an ad performing badly, I just turn it off. And then I will just go and redo it. So let's go back into your account.
So what are the number one thing that the ad is not performing? Photos.
Well, I'm going to get to that in a minute. Don't steal
Okay.
my thunder. No. No, I'm joking. Go ahead. Let me just log into your account first, though. And I don't know why it's all blown up. Oh, 125. No wonder. All right. So let's go do an ad for a listing. Now, this will look at just a tiny bit different because I am in a lender account, but you'll recognize it. Nothing's that dramatic. So we got two listings. All right, we got the open house. We got this one here. So I'll click market listing. Now I'm going to click on ads. It's going to take me to the current running ad just because it doesn't want to take me to the normal work area. And then, I'm sitting there thinking I don't have an ad running when I do. So you can see that right there. But let's just go to create ad. And so the first two things to not do not change location unless we just got it completely wrong. So all you need to do is make sure location, it matches the city. I promise you, don't waste your mental energies overthinking it. All you're going to do is you're going to just,
You're not going to perform well. The ad's not going to perform.
de-optimize your lead generation. Yeah. You're just not going to perform as good.
Mm-hmm.
Do not change radius. I know you all think that if you go to 50, you'll generate more leads. You will not generate more leads unless you double or triple your budget, which I still wouldn't do it. All right. So leave the radius at 15. Do not change the lifetime budget. All I want you to do is come in here and do a $50 minimum. If, for example, you're only going to market 2 listings this week, then do 2 listings, one at 65 and one at 60. All right. It's your business. And I'll tell you, Craig Johnson, you listen to his interview, 70% of the listings he marketed were borrowed. And we can talk more about that if anybody needs to talk about how do you borrow a listing to market. Some of you with the companies that you're with, you got carte blanche to market anybody's listings in your company. Some of you may not be aware of those rules or that idea. We can talk about that a little bit later. So again, we're not going to change location, not going to change radius. The only time we would change start or end date typically is if it's an open house. So with Gordon today, he has an open house on Saturday. So I just went 17 to 21. No problem. And now here's the last part. This is the last thing that people will mess up. And it happened actually in Gordon's listing today because he had a brand new listing. And in fact, I think it was the one that he got that was from the comment.
Oh, wow.
The first 4 photos were all the front of the house at different angles. And that's typical, right? The agent will upload the photos and it's the front of the house, the kitchen, the bedroom. And so you're going to need to come in here and swap and optimize the photos for massive lead generation opportunities. bad photos, bad opportunities. So click change template. And here, there's a little edit icon. And now every image in here can be changed. And this way I can just make sure, hey, you're an agent, the listing is the star. I would hope you take a moment and make sure that it looks as best it can. If you went and did professional photos, my God, why would you want to then just ruin the whole thing, right? We're putting this on Facebook. It's the close up, all right? This is where we want it to shine. So I want to pick the 3, what I consider to be the best photos, and just pop them in there. So 1, 2, 3. You may want to change the color to something. I think his colors are, I think like Gordon was like that kind of gray. You're doing the kind of the golden color, right? For a while. And that's a little bit washed out.
Yeah.
So Matt Rice of Facebook newsfeed, we really want to pop. So like the bright kind of the brightest dark blues, sometimes some of the greens. I don't like to go psychedelic, what do you call that? When it's super bright.
Or gradient or whatever.
Yeah, and I don't like to say it red all the time. That gets kind of boring as well. So I usually bop between red and blue, and sometimes I'll mix orange, depending on the listing and the other colors for the listing. So my point here is, and I highly recommend this template, right? When you overcomplicate the image, and, I'm looking at ads all the time, and I'll see people's ads, and they got their profile photo on the ad, and they got their cutout on the ad. They got their, big face on the ad. And the home is almost like in the background, right? It's just all like, glitzed up. Those type of ads normally don't produce as well as just a simple, clean layout that people can see. One of the biggest problems that most agents have is they just ruin the image right off the bat.
Right, when they have like a super long driveway and 3
it could be,
different angles.
Well, it could be part of that. So yeah, you're right. So there could be bad angles, bad lighting, right? Overexposure, bad lighting, no good composition. Even if you're a quote unquote good photographer, right? The ability to compose a good photo. I think even for this one, we cropped out the driveway, right? Because, imagine in the listing photo where the garage door and the driveway are like literally 80%. And I've seen, oh my God, actually Gordon had a listing and it was beautiful. In fact, he's had 2 listings like this. Beautiful driveways, beautiful lawn, both of them. One was like this white 3-story thing. Another one was a single story. And so the photographer, and it looks dramatic when it's a big image, but when you're looking in a Facebook ad and all you see is this long driveway with like beautiful green grass and then this tiny little house
Right.
way back there. And I was like, Gordon, that's if that was hanging on my wall as like, a massive poster, that would be stunning. But as the Facebook ad image, you got to crop it so we're a little bit tighter
Yeah.
on the house.
That's why you cropped it. It looks good.
It looks way better because before, you had the street, the sidewalk, the driveway, and then the neighbor's house was very prominent in the image, as was the other neighbor's house. So here we just kind of tightened up, make sure we got a nice, the blue sky looks great, very clean. And then we got a photo, in this case, of the backyard pool. They stress that in the property description. And then a beautiful living room there that opens out. So we wanted to show, it's nice and airy, beautiful landscaping, clean front, and it's doing great. I mean, I think right now we're like what was the cost per lead? Like pretty low.
Just like maybe just hovering around $2.
Yeah, like I think in the 2s.
Yeah.
And you're having conversations with people. And here's the deal. And so for everybody on this call, I don't even want you to have another thought in your head about your Facebook ad strategy until you watch the 2 videos, really the 3 videos. The 2 videos are an hour long each. The third video is 6 minutes long. And I want you to suspend everything that you think you know about doing Facebook ads. All right. Because again, the goal here is to build a sustainable business that is cost effective, where we don't go broke before we get to where we want to go. Right. There's a
Right.
lot of ways of getting to where you want to go, but a lot of them are going to, expect you to hit home runs. They're going to expect you to spend a lot more money possibly than what we're talking about, because what we're talking about here, it's, I would say 5 to 6, $700 a month. But by month 2, you are going to see your pipeline just popping. I mean, you're already seeing from nothing, from literally zero, right? You're seeing your pipeline really start picking up.
Yeah, totally. And I've heard people, realtors paying 15,000 like from Zillow leads. I'm not kidding. Like this is a great way to cost effectively grow your pipeline. And if you just, followed the leads, having conversations, these going to turn into business. And on top of that, when you do the open house correctly, like how it
Yeah,
should be conducted.
right.
Okay. Because agents still like wander off, do their own things, think they're cute. Just like Brian Matheson, like how, I mean, they follow their playbook. Everybody has a checklist. I mean, they've been doing this for like what, 14, 20 years, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And every time he does open house, he writes down what works, what doesn't, so he can improve the next time. It's so that meticulous.
Yeah, so this is the open house training from Listings to Leads. Better than anything else you're going to find in the industry, just hands down. I mean, there's so
Mhm.
much to this. I don't expect anyone to be able to master this with the first 1, 2, 3 times they do an open house. But I know, for example, so Yee's got a open house tomorrow, and I was already thinking today, I was like, man, should we prepare we got to get you a open house box like what Brian talked about.
Well, the agent
But,
already has an open house box, but I'm preparing
well,
for
but you
my
need
own.
one too.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you don't want to have to be,
relying on her.
reassembling,
Yeah, exactly.
right? But you got your mixed nuts, so you're going to bring some mixed nuts, the chips,
The mix of the chips, the water,
the water. Okay.
all the
The agent's got the
flyers,
clipboards.
the clipboards,
Yeah.
the signing form. Like I have my own checklist. So
Yeah. Well, when you go to, so if you're watching on a YouTube video later, listingstoleads.com/open house. And you can see here where you can sign up for this is tonight's call that we're on right now. But yeah, if you go through this training, we go through open house marketing. So how do you market the open house to get a bunch of people there? And part of that will be obviously a Facebook ad. So that's one of your ads for that week. If you got a chance to do 2 open houses a week, good for you. Run 2 open house ads.
yeah,
Otherwise, you might have to. In fact, the open house can be borrowed too. Some of the open houses that Gordon has done are another agent's listing. So the open house, in fact, a lot of times you might not want it to be your open house, because if it's your listing and it's not selling, you can only do an open house 2 to 3 times before it really starts kind of,
getting old.
getting
Yeah.
diminishing returns.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the Facebook ads and doing the open house, they work together so beautifully, because now we got these ads running. There's other marketing we're going to be doing as well as part of Listings to Leads, just some regular marketing tools that we've got for, the database. If you're doing an open house, I would definitely recommend using the nearby homeowner letter that just generates great quality seller leads. So, it's not just doing the ad. Now for Yee, it is, because you're not a real estate agent, you're a lender. But for the agent, right, we want to make sure that we're doing a few other things as well. But man, I'm telling you, between Craig, Gordon, right, and again, I didn't even realize. Had you told me like how many ads has he like run for our playbook, that it was 3 ads, really surprised me.
Hmm.
It just tells me you better get your follow up in order, because we are what, and this is still right. We got 65 and 50. So you had $115. So that's even a little bit lower than what we're going to get to. So make sure, which is probably good that I'm telling you this, and that way you can make sure you got. I would
Yeah,
check with
well, Yeah, for the first 2 weeks, we're just dipping toes in the water. It was
Right.
yeah. So
Well, and it's so easy. It's like, right, in fact, in fact, this is the psychology I think behind it. The first week was really good, right? 26 leads. And it's almost like I knew you were following up with them, and it was just as much as my fault as yours of
it was
like, oh, we don't need to do an ad because we have all these leads coming in, right? And it was just like, okay. And that's the problem because then it's like, no, it's 2 weeks that we went with no ads. And then, and then I started screwing around, right? I started doing, oh, let's do a VA home purchase. Let's do a prequel.
yeah.
Let's do,
Then you
let's
realize
do
custom landing
other.
pages don't really perform that well, and it's actually expensive.
Well, but here's the thing. The cost per lead may be totally fine, right? Like we saw with Gordon, $10 for a price reduce, a free list of price reduced homes for sale. That's not
That's
the
not
end of the
bad.
world. That's not
Right,
bad.
right.
But I don't want to have to go through growing my business on $10 leads when I can as easily do it on $3 to $4 leads,
Yeah.
right? There's no, and I'm getting seller leads as a part of all of this. All right.
Mhm.
And
So
not to put
Vanessa
too
has a
many,
question.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Vanessa has a question.
Oh yeah, yeah. And I keep meaning to mention that, so thank you. Will this work for prospecting a different state from where I live with the goal of capturing sellers, buyers relocating? Yeah, I mean, if there's enough of them, that's the thing. Yeah, and I wouldn't even offer a relocation guide. I would just put so Vanessa, you want to tell me what you're thinking? Like, are you in Florida and thinking about running an ad in Chicago? Because if that's what you're thinking, I would probably just find a listing and just change location to what you're thinking. If you're, let me walk through that. So let's say I got a listing, mine, or I borrowed a listing, doesn't really matter. And so, in fact, you know what? I got one. Let's just say it's this listing right here. For the sake of this, it won't really matter. When you click Facebook and Instagram ads, then you can change it to whatever you want it to be. What I don't like, I don't know why that's taking forever to open. So Vanessa, tell me, are you thinking like what to what are you thinking? Like what city to what city? The only thing that can be a little bit hit
Tricky.
or miss
Mhm.
is locate like Chicago, right? I mean, that's a
That's
lot
a
of people.
massive city.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So hold on, let's do this. Let me go to maps on Google. And let me give you something to think about when it comes to this kind of a thing, because obviously it's not all of Chicago that is your target market.
Mm.
So I would, and I'm sorry, my other monitor. All right. So we got Chicago. So you might put Northbrook or Evanston. I don't know. I mean, I don't know Chicago that well, right? I actually lived in where did I live? I lived in Hoffman Estates.
I lived in Chicago.
Oh yeah, yeah. You went to University of Chicago, or I'm sorry,
No, I
no,
went to Urbana Champaign, but
Urbana-Champaign. Yeah.
I worked downtown Chicago, and I went to no, I was thinking something else. Yeah, downtown.
Well,
33
you did work
Monroe.
in Chicago with Arthur Anderson, right?
33 Monroe. Yep.
Oh, nice, nice, nice. All right,
Driveway Avenue. I still remember. Oh my gosh.
all right. So she's in Texas seeking California buyers and sellers. Yeah. So I would just find out what area has the most California buyers, right? Santa Monica, which
Yeah, LA.
just came out of the top of my head, and it's probably true. So, yeah. Uh, you can do ads anywhere you want, right? I mean, now you want to be legal, you don't want to get into trouble, so obviously, but yeah, definitely, Crystal. So if you're licensed in Florida, New Jersey, but here's the thing. here's the thing. Get good at one area first, right? Don't start hopping back and forth. If you can give yourself 2 to 2.5 months staying in one area, don't overcomplicate it. Don't make stuff up. Don't figure out another way for your brain to just send you after a squirrel. All right. I want you to really focus on doing these kind of ads if you can swing doing open houses as well, because these are just singles and doubles all the way through, right? These are just, you're going to get in front of so many people. You're going to have listing opportunities. You're going to have so many buyer opportunities. Does that make sense?
Agree. Yes. Because you got to be proficient at running ads, proficient at really going through your system, how to follow up, how to have conversations, how to close deals, right? Now, once you get really good at that, your business is going to grow locally. Then you can go venture out to out of state buyer and sellers. That's kind of my personal opinion.
Yeah, I would say, Crystal, I would say that as well, right? I mean, I would say give it 2 months following the training that we give at that link I put above here in the stream. Focus on that for 2 months. Like I said, I was telling the agent today, I was like, listen, I can tell your voice is like down, right? No energy. And I can tell that you're the type of person that hates that, right? She's one of those, woman, dress impeccably, like she's from LA. And I'm like, yeah, you look like an LA, like in a good way, not like some crazy way, not a crazy LA, but like a really good LA. And I could just tell, I'm like, man, I'm sure that drain energy itself is depressing for her, because you know what I mean. Like she could just tell she's more of a go-getter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen, watch those 2 videos, get on the call with us on Thursday, and let's just start. And you know what? You got to have the confidence and the stick-to-itiveness. And again, the not letting your mind start wandering down all sorts of different directions.
Yeah. You can't let the results just
Yeah.
bog you down. Like, because the results doesn't matter right now. The results doesn't matter. You have to just let it play out and be consistent. Because people quit. I think it's very easy to quit at 2 weeks, at 3 weeks,
Yeah.
4 weeks. It's easy to quit, but you cannot quit. That's just
All right.
it.
But you know what? Let's just continue that conversation. So what is, I don't even know what 15 miles is. Yeah, but you get the idea. So let's say Evanston. So yeah, I can just come in here to the area for location. And then, right, whatever. But you can see here, I can pick any Evanston in the whole US. All right. Awesome. All right. Anything else we should cover? Any questions?
I do want to go back. Can I go back to remind you of that lady's question earlier about the new construction?
Yeah. What about it?
Because you told her you need to make sure you have a listing and a unit, right? And have really professional photos.
Yeah. Let me see here. Yeah. Robin, let me share with you something else though, too. Let me. If you go to listingsleads.com/new construction, there's a pretty good write-up here. And if I scroll down, you'll see some examples of landing pages. And I've seen people, $3, $4, $5 a lead with new construction like that one.
That's a good one with the
the
clock.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people like that, actually.
Yeah.
Here I got one with a little, and I wouldn't do, well, video on the landing page is totally fine. I wouldn't do video in the ad, right? So like when you got a landing page, you put video on it, that can be nice to get people to, click and give up their information. But yeah, even in fact, I had another client a couple of days ago. She spent $15, and it was a it was a development. And I was like, listen, just find a unit in that development and just market it like a
Like a
property.
regular listing.
Yeah, just market it like a regular listing, because the list of that can be great, and I think there's a place for it, Robin. But what I would do is, because you want to get off the hamster wheel of chasing after different verticals, because a vertical will last for a little while, then it will die out. It'll last and it'll die, and you're constantly changing or chasing these kind of value offers. If you were to start marketing listings and you just get in the habit, right, Robin? Who are you with? What company are you with? If you now, more and more companies are letting their agents know, because they get it, right? You can market any listing in the company, right? The company will come down and they'll say that. And if you're not with a company like that, talk to your broker. Hey, I want to start marketing 1 to 2 listings a week. How can I find other listings in our office to market so that I got new, fresh listings every week? Now, I want you to be thinking about it almost like your deal of the week, right? And yeah, that's something I want you to get out this week, right? What is your deal of the week this week? Because that, if you got permission to market it, you can do to your database, you can do via social media, right? So we're going to get a lot more out of it even than just a Facebook ad, right?
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, but anyways, you can go here for new construction. And here's how I would play new construction. And Robin, you tell me if this makes any sense. Maybe it won't for you, but I would get really good at listings to leads, right? Marketing a listing. And then I would take one of their units and I would add it to my listings to leads account. And I would go present to that builder or the developer the 100-point home marketing plan from listings to leads. Maybe mock up a couple of landing pages to show, different overall development marketing that you can do for them. Let them know that their photos are awful if they are, right? And you'll see that at listings to leads. I'll take note at that website or that on that page. I literally have a whole part of it where I talk about developer marketing usually sucks. It's usually not that good. I don't know who they pick to do the marketing, but it's always like a B- firm that does the marketing for builders. I've never seen, except maybe like in New York City, I don't know, but not 80% of the US has awful marketing from new build. But then I would take my flip book or my PDF or whatever, and I would present this to that developer and be like, listen, I can get your properties so much exposure and get at least rights to market them. But again, I want to market them as individual units. I don't want to do this whole development thing. It's just too, you can, but I would just get really good with the listings first, because that is like the bread and butter of real estate marketing. And it just keeps you consistent, right?
Mm-hmm.
Too many people. The problem is it's all these roller coasters all over the place. And that's why Gordon is having the best year in a while, right? Craig Johnson as well.
Yeah.
You
Because he's trying to stick to the script.
Yeah, exactly. So, hey, listen, with that, Robin, feel free to get into the mastermind group if you need. What video do you suggest us to watch? And my ad message seems long. Yeah, no, the video the page you need to watch again are these 2 videos at the link I gave you. Go to listingstoleads.com/blog. Go ahead and type in the title to search and find this post. And then it's going to be the 3 videos on here, right? The 2 interviews, 1. And the nice thing is they both reinforce each other. So they're both the same strategy. One is done by Craig and the other one is telling you how Gordon did it. But they both pretty much did the same thing with the same amount of time elapsing. And then that 3rd video is just me walking you through what not to do, which I just did. Don't change location. Don't change radius. Easy. All right. Anything else? All right, Robin, thank you so much for joining us. Everybody else, if you didn't have a chance to comment, please do like the video on YouTube if you have a chance. Yi, anything from you?
No, I'm good. I gotta get ready for my call.
I love it. All right. With that, we'll talk to y'all later. Thank you for joining us. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.